those of you who don't know, TJ Green crafts action-packed tales filled with magic, mystery, myths, and legends. She was born in the Black Country of England, later emigrated to New Zealand, making her home near Wellington, alongside her partner Jason, their cats, Sasha and Leia. The adventurous spirit couldn't be tamed, though, leading her to another move in April 2022, this time to the sun-drenched Algarve in Portugal, although we were just talking about how extremely hot it is in Portugal at the moment. So that may not be a good thing today. Okay, awesome. Well, I will hand it over to you and we'll kick off. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the invite. It's really lovely to be here. And thank you for coming along to listen. So I just need to share my screen, don't I?
Yes.
Fabulous. Cool. Okay. Right. So I am talking about how to build a coven of superfans. And obviously the reason I call it a coven is because I write witchy urban fantasy. So I love witches, I love witchcraft, so that seemed like the natural title. But of course, if you don't like witches and witchcraft, everything will work for you. It's just apply it to your own fan base. So what we're going to be talking about today is who I am and why I might have anything vaguely useful to say. What are superfans? Are they important? And the simple answer to that is obviously yes. How do you find them? And how do you keep them? Very importantly, once you've got them, you do not want to lose them. So who am I? Yes, I am Tracy Green, pen name TJ Green, as Shane has said. So I have 4 series. One's a young adult Arthurian series, and that was the first one I wrote. And then there was 3 urban fantasy with lots of paranormal mysteries and lots of witchcraft. So Whitehaven Witches is the series, is my most popular one. It's the one kind of, I guess, that allowed me to give up the day job. Book 1 has got over 5,000 reviews on it on Amazon of a 4.4 kind of average star rating, which is great. And there are reviews on all the other platforms. I am not Amazon exclusive. I publish wide, and that's really important to me. If you think I look vaguely familiar, I was on stage with 4 other authors at the self-publishing show. When was that? 2022. Yeah, that was last year, wasn't it? Yeah. So that was cool, slightly nerve-wracking, and we were all talking about giving up the day job. So that was a really nice thing to do. Before I was a full-time author, I was a nurse for 30 years, just so you know a bit about my background. Psychiatric nursing, general nursing, and I ended up in regional public health. So my last fun nursing activity was dealing with the COVID outbreak for regional public health in Wellington. So yeah, that was great. As you can imagine, I wasn't sorry to give that one up. Lovely colleagues, though. Anyway, so publishing since 2016, and I've been a full-time writer since October 2020. And that is not just down, but it was kind of thanks to the COVID lockdown. You know, spent a lot of hours at home in and around the day job, and was able to really focus on writing, get some more books out. And of course, what happened, and some of you obviously might realize this, during COVID, lots of people were buying ebooks. So kind of ebook sales went through the roof, and that really helped a lot of authors, myself included. So yeah, so retired my partner last year, as in he gave up the day job as well. Didn't buy a hitman to see him off, and we both moved to Portugal. So yeah, here we are at 36 degrees heat at the moment, feeling a little wan. Yeah, so it's quite warm, windows open everywhere. I have a fan. Okay, so moving on. So what are superfans? First of all, why do you need them? Well, first of all, they love everything you write. And by everything, I mean, if they like your writing and if they like your series, they tend to move from one series to the next. And that's what you want. So you want to take them with you, and you want to keep growing your audience. They champion your work, so they share it with their friends. their children, their parents, their husband. I have a woman only yesterday saying to me, oh, she said, it's great, I've got my hubby into your books and now we both listen by audiobook. So that's fabulous. They support every book release in multiple formats. So I have I have a reasonably large art team. I've got about 600 on my advanced reader team. And typically, as everybody says, it's about a third of those that actively review. But what I find is they might get the book for free, but a lot of them choose to buy it as well, which is fab. They'll buy the paperback, and then quite a few of those will then go on to buy the audiobook. So yes, a super fan will support you everywhere and buy everything, and that's great. That's what everybody wants. They write fabulous reviews. They comment on your adverts that you've got running, which is great because it gives you more social proof. They share your posts, and they also reply to your newsletters and make you feel very loved. And we all like that, especially when you're having one of those days where you're battling with your writing and you're battling with this, so they boost your ego, and that's lovely. So really important that you nurture those fans when you have them. So this is just a bit of a sample of some of these lovely reviews that I get. And this is off a couple of my series. So the Whitehaven Hunters series that I have is a spin-off of the Whitehaven Witches. And that kind of kicked off at about 6 books into my Whitehaven Witches series. And not all of the readers followed, because a lot of them are quite honest and they're like, well, I really love the witches and I don't know if I love the hunters, and that's kind of fair enough. But when they do follow, they're like, oh yeah, it's great. So they tend to, I have a lot of readers that mention me by name in my reviews, which is really lovely. So they kind of, they go, oh, I love the way TJ incorporates the history of this, or TJ Green knocks it out the park again. And that's just nice. I feel they're very personal reviews, which again is lovely. It massages my ego, and it's great for other readers to see this when they're kind of looking at reviews, which is really nice. So importantly, how do you find, sorry, I don't know if you can see a bit of me on the screen, my curtain is billowing behind me. You have to write great books. That's the important thing about finding your readers. There are no shortcuts to getting super fans. I think that's the really important thing to bear in mind. You have to also nail all your basics. So you've got to write a really engaging story. You want great characters. You want a really good setting, because your scene setting. You want to really immerse your readers in the story. You want great covers. If you want to do your covers yourself, that's great. Personally, mine would be appalling. So I have a fabulous cover designer. I found her right at the beginning and I've stuck with her, and she's great. I have a professional editor, and again, I did that right from the very beginning. My editing is pretty good. I write cleanly, but nevertheless, you still need another pair of eyes, a professional editor, because they will pick up the things that you don't see. By the time you've gone through your manuscript a million times, you're word blind to certain things. So you want to nail your genre to whatever genre it is you pick. Now, as I say, I started off in YA, Arthurian fantasy. That was just kind of something I did. But and I love my first series, but I got all of that completely wrong when I started. I didn't name the series well. And I didn't really investigate the market. I kind of just decided I wanted to write it. So it never really took off. And it doesn't really fit that YA genre. It's a kind of, it is YA, but it's not that kind of YA romance kind of thing that's very popular. However, people who do read the book really enjoy it, but it's just never done that well. my current readers who go back to it because they love the stuff I write. So they're like, oh, I want to look at this other series, enjoy it. So when I started writing the Witches series, that was something that I really wanted to get right. So you want to be consistent across the series that you're writing with your tone, your content, and it's also about social media. So it's not just about the books that you're writing, it's about how you present yourself, full stop. Whether you're on Facebook a lot or YouTube or Instagram, you need consistency so that wherever you are, your readers know how to find you, that you're naming your sites the same. So that I'm TJ Green author. And the reason I started off with the author is because when I had my website originally, TJ Green is actually a very large American footballer who had that name .com. So in order for me to get the website, I actually went tjgreen.nz when I lived in New Zealand. And then I decided actually that's not going to work. Like last year I switched. So I'm tjgreenauthor.com, and that is TJ Green Author on Facebook and Pinterest, I say, and Instagram and everywhere. So it's that consistency. People know how to look you up, and on YouTube. That's where be authentic, I think, is really important. You can pick up when somebody's being false, when they're pretending to be something they're not. If you want to cultivate your super fans, you want to be genuine in your approach. And I think that's even more important now with the rise of AI, and AI is everywhere, and people are using AI for their narration, for audiobooks and for copy, and even to write books. And that's fine if that's what people choose to do, but you need to be honest about it. But it's also about, if I've written my books, then I want people to know that I am a person. So you need to be authentic in your approach to people. When you're setting out to get your genre and you're writing your books, I think it's really important as well to write about something that you love, because if it becomes successful, then it will become your life, and you are doing it all the time. So I'm not kidding when I say this. It's really important. Don't choose a genre you want to write in just because you think it will be popular, because if it works and you're stuck with it and you hate it, it's just a nightmare. It will be a chore. So don't do that. Pick something you love. I love witches and magic and paranormal, so that's where I went. Go where your fans hang out. So you want to find more of your fans, you want to find more readers, go where they hang out online. Obviously, you're not going to stalk them. But the great thing is about the Facebook pages, Facebook is the thing I'm on the most, is, there's so many, for me, witchcraft and paranormal pages and folklore and myths and legends and pagan stuff on there. So I follow quite a lot of them through my Facebook page, through my author page, not my personal page. And that's, again, something that you can share with your readers. So that's a really useful thing to do. So obviously you want to share content they love and that you do too, because then you are, you're kind of developing this big community, and that's what you want. And when you've got your readers, you want to reward them, your super fans. So I say, how did I actually find mine? Well, I said I started my Witches series after Rise of the King fell to take off. And I looked at the kind of things that I enjoyed writing in Rise of the King. And I say it's an Arthurian story set in the other world. And of course, there's lots of witches in King Arthur and lots of magic. And that's what I really enjoyed. So I thought, yes, let's write a contemporary urban fantasy set in Cornwall. I thought, where do I want to set it? I'm English. I want to write about somewhere I'm familiar with, somewhere that's really cool. Cornwall's a beautiful place. It's very pagan, actually, in Cornwall. There was some research done earlier this year that's saying Cornwall is the most pagan place in the UK. Huge amount of myths and legends and folklore there. And I just thought, you know, those gorgeous Cornish fishing villages. So that's where I wanted to set my story. So that's what I did. And I already knew a lot about witches and witchcraft because it's something that interested me. So I incorporated all of my knowledge into that. And actually, a lot of the magic I write in my books is authentic, based on authentic witchcraft. Some Wiccan, but otherwise just normal witchcraft. Wicca and witchcraft is quite different. So the kind of content I can share is actually great. Lots of stuff about witches, solstices, the witch trials, magic, paganism, folklore and stuff, and things in general, full moons, you know, all of that kind of thing. And these are the images, you know, that you can see now, the type of things that I tend to share on my page as well, and across Instagram, and I'll also share them on Pinterest. So repurpose your content as well, you know, kind of put it on a few places. So yes, so that's kind of how I started. And as soon as that first book in the Whitehaven Witches series went out, Buried Magic, it was already starting to gain, I could tell it was already picking up a lot more readers than the first series. So, you know, I'd already got book 2 planned, that was already written, so that went out quite quickly. Pre-orders started to grow. So yeah, from there, you know, it was already starting to build quite early on. So where else can you find your superfans? Organic signups to a newsletter, obviously. So if you haven't got a newsletter set up yet, then you need to get one up. It's really set up. It's really important. I have links in the back of my books encouraging them to sign up, and I give away basically a free short story prequel to actually my YA series. I need to set up stuff for my witches series. But I keep saying I will, but I haven't got around to it yet because I'm too busy writing books. But that would probably be a really good thing to do. And I've also, so there's a couple of short stories associated with that series. I have a Whitehaven Witches character sheets PDF and a Whitehaven Hunters character sheet PDF. And there's another couple of character sheets I need to develop. But basically, anybody who signs up organically to my newsletter through my books and through the back of my books, that's what they get automatically. I do cross promos in Book Funnel, Story Origin, and my Book Cave, and I really do recommend my Book Cave. Actually, I think I've had a lot of success with that lately, and my Book Cave also has sales promotions, and I've again really good. You know, so I have 2 free first in series. And I've had really good success on my Book Cave actually with their sales promos. And what they allow you to do is to link in with your series, kind of the other books in your series. So you can upload those so that when you do your sales promos, all those go out like you can with the free Booksy series promo. So I definitely would recommend my Book Cave. I've found those really good. Obviously, Book Funnel has a huge amount. Although I think that lately, some people are finding, I think it's been quite oversaturated. So not as effective as they used to be. And I think, you know, the same people jump on them over and over again. So it just gets a bit saturated sometimes. But I definitely recommend my Book Cave. Cross promotion with other authors on Facebook is obviously good. But again, limited, I actually think, as far as that goes. When you start getting your fans and they're following you on Facebook or in your newsletter, I think it's really important to share news about you. Don't hide behind your writing. And what I mean by that is just don't just talk about your books, because that gets very, very salesy very quickly. And to be quite honest, a bit boring. I don't want to be constantly plugging my books. There are other things in life to be talking about, you know. So, you know, as I said, there's great stories you can share. There was one of my books in the Whitehaven Hunter series is about the Templars, and actually it was my mother who sent me last week this newspaper article clip saying they found some Templar graves in Enville, which is quite close to where like we used to live. So I kind of found it online and shared it on my Facebook page. Loads of people loved it. It's really interesting because, again, it's a shared interest that we have. And it was promoted quite a lot of talk. So that was really good. So I share about the area I live. So people love the fact that I've lived in New Zealand and now I live in Portugal. So I share pictures of that. Talk about my cats, because who doesn't love cats? So yes, I'm not saying that you need to become best friends with your readers. You know, I do this all through my author page, but I really think it's important to show them who you are, and as I say, be authentic, because they're not just connecting with the books, they're connecting with you, the author. And I just think that makes a huge difference. Respond to every post, even if it's just an emoji. I'm actually quite surprised at the moment. I've set up a YouTube channel last year, actually, but I've only recently started using it because, well, probably about the last 3 or 4 months, I've uploaded all of my audiobooks on there. And actually people respond to that quite a bit. I get quite a lot of comments. So again, I just respond to everything, because if people have taken the time to comment, I think it's really important that you get back to them. And you answer every email too. Again, it's time consuming, but it's important. So yes, your newsletter, you cannot skip this. The first, obviously, letter that they get when they kind of sign up, either through BookFunnel or Story Origin or through the back of my my books, is obviously, you know, you get the, oh, thanks for signing up, here's the book, here's the short story, whatever it is that you've given them. But in the second letter, I actually introduce myself. I kind of say, well, you know, you've signed up for my newsletter, that's really nice, I think you need to know a bit about me. So on my website, I have a few blog posts, just a couple really, that talk about me and my past and what I used to do and what I like doing, and I link to those in the second letter. Because immediately then you're kind of being a bit more personal. This is who I am. This is who you're going to hear from me. This is what you're going to get from me over the next few emails, just, you know, talking about my books. Keep your website updated. Obviously, I would like to do a bit more blogging more often than I do. Doesn't always happen. But a lot of the things that I write about in my books, I kind of weave a lot of myths and legends and history into my stories. So I tend to do a little bit of a blog at the end of books, actually, and just say, hey, what was true, what isn't in the book, what's fiction, what's not. So I put a bit of that in the back of the book, but I've also done blog posts then as well, which I share. So as far as your newsletter goes, send it consistently. And again, you don't want them to sign up and then they never hear from you for months, because then you go and get in touch with them and they'll be like, well, who is this? Who are you? So having got them on your list, I get in touch every 2 weeks. Some people do weekly, some people do monthly. But again, set out your intentions, I think, with your readers so they know when to expect. So I send mine out every other Friday afternoon. I run giveaways in it. So again, once a month, just click on the link in the email and I usually send a signed paperback, or it can be a free audiobook. So again, that keeps people engaged. And as I say, don't promise anything you can't deliver. Your readers need to trust you. So when you're going to do something, you need to do something. Now, at the end of your welcome sequence, this was on mine for a long time. I've paused it at the moment. But the reward for sticking through my welcome sequence of kind of 5 emails is I invite them to join my art team, actually. Not everybody does, because some people can't, because I've said, you know, this would be the responsibilities of it, but other people have done. But as I say, it doesn't, as far as I'm concerned, cannibalize sales. What it helps you to do is get a nice chunk of reviews when you release. So that's really cool. And it's lovely as well, because I have quite a lot of older readers, and I don't know about you guys, but my probably core demographic, I would say, is mid-40s to mid-50s, 60s, but also quite a lot over 60s, 70s. And they're retired. A lot are in poor health. And actually, it's a great opportunity for them to be able to read a lot without spending a lot of money. And I think that's a really nice thing as well. And they take their ARC, their review responsibilities really seriously. And that's really cool. So on social media, you should be cultivating your social media like your also boards. And I'm hoping you all know what I mean by also boards. So also boards is a thing on your Amazon page, you know, that's like, hey, if you bought this, you will like this. So when people talk about training Amazon's algorithms and other retailers, actually, it's about making sure that you're selling, you're not promoting your books to people who aren't going to read them, so Amazon will see who reads your books, similar kind of stuff, and they'll push them to those readers. So I think your social media should be like that. It's very tempting when you're first starting out and you've got hardly anybody on your Facebook page, and you feel like you're talking to the wall. It's a lot of people would be and still are, I think, oh, follow my page, I'll follow yours. That actually, all that does is muddy the waters, I think, with people who, why am I going to follow a thriller writer or a cozy mystery page if I'm actually not going to read those books? So again, Facebook also has algorithms. So I don't think there's any point in following a whole load of Facebook pages you have no interest in. So it's much better to have a slow, organic build of people who really like your books than this mad follow. It's time, it takes time, but it will happen. We all start from nowhere, but it will happen. As far as social media goes, you can't be everywhere at once. So pick a couple that you like and it's success for you and approach it consistently. You do not need to have viral posts to be successful. And let's face it, Facebook or any other platform doesn't really push a lot of stuff now unless you like to pay for it. I had, however, having said that last week, I did a post on Facebook, nothing dramatic, just this little meme that's been kind of have sung the rains before, and it kind of came up on another feed, and I thought, oh, I'll share that on mine. I just kind of used the image. It was a very personal post actually in a group, and I thought I won't share the whole post, but I'll just share the image. And I don't know quite what happened, but it went nuts in 24 hours. And I had 178,000 reactions to the post, 51,000 shares. And I kept looking at the figures thinking, well, this is nuts. Where's that come from? So I don't know quite why that happened. It certainly hasn't happened since. It's never happened before. But this particular post just kind of took off. As a result, I picked up probably another 1,500 page followers, but I turned off comments, because then what happens is all sorts of people are getting to see that post who wouldn't normally. And, the trolls appear. So I actually turned off commenting, apart from for people who had been following my page for over 24 hours. Facebook allows you to do that. So that was a really good thing to do, because it meant I didn't have to be constantly screening comments for hideousness. So anyway, that was just very weird. So viral helped, bump up my followers for a bit, but I don't know if it helped sell me any more books. I might have sold a few more, but anyway, that was just weird. So advertising obviously does help you grow your audience, undeniably, for Facebook. A couple of years ago, over COVID, actually, my ads took off. They've been doing well for a while anyway, but yes, at that point, I started getting a lot more Facebook page followers. So that's obviously really great. The more followers you have, the more people will see your posts. Just a word, I suck at TikTok. I know people do great things on TikTok. I do not. My other half actually does my videos for me now, and that's not to say he sucks at it either. He does lovely videos, but we just cannot get those views up. So you know what? We put them out consistently. We share them to Instagram. I share them to YouTube now, pop them on Pinterest. But, you know, I managed to run a full-time author business without needing to be brilliant at TikTok. So don't worry if you also suck at it. I think, though, great images are really important. All social media is very visual. So you do need some really great images that suit your brand, whatever that be, whether you write witchy stuff like me or paranormal, or whether you're doing thrillers or cozy mysteries. Find images that, or romance, obviously romance is huge. You know, find the right type of images that are going to work and that are eye-catching, because more than anything, as far as advertising or getting good social media reactions and getting word out and getting followers, great images are really important. And I use Canva or BookBrush, obviously, both of those are great. And very importantly, do not alienate or rant at your readers. Part of my brand, I guess, is I'm very open. It's a very kind of easygoing page. You know, you started your video, Shane, I noticed it was kindness is the word. That is very much on my Facebook group. I do have a Facebook group called TJ's Inner Circle, which I started about a year or so after my Facebook page was getting more and more likes. I kind of waited until the Witcher series was doing quite well before I opened the group, just so that there wasn't just like 10 of us in there. And as a consequence, I had a couple of hundred join quite quickly, which was nice. So yes, kindness, respect, all of that is very much the key in my Facebook group as well. So I don't really have to worry too much about policing it too much, which is really nice. So yes, don't alienate your readers once you've found your fabulous super fans. So yes, Facebook groups are a great thing to have. The thing is with the Facebook page, or any of those other kind of pages, really, is they can't talk to each other. So that's what's really good about a group. Now, something that I don't mention in here, but because I haven't done yet, but I am doing it very soon, is to also get a subscription up and going. So obviously quite a few authors use Patreon. I've looked into it and I've decided I'm going to use Ream, which is set up obviously purely for authors by an author. So I've signed up for it, but I haven't actually set up anything yet. So I'm looking into what tiers I could offer. But that's the other great thing I think about subscriptions is it's another income stream. But again, it allows your fans to talk together within a group. So, you know, your fans can chat and they've got this shared interest. So, and then they kind of, the other thing I find particularly so with my Facebook group is more people are coming in and they might not have read all your books. So the fact that the people are talking about them a lot makes them want to read them. So they kind of feed into it. So I haven't set my subscription service up yet, but that should happen over the next month. So strategies to keep obviously your super fans would be run giveaways in your newsletter, as I've mentioned. I also run them once a month on my Facebook page. So I offer signed paperbacks. They always go down very well, but also free ebooks and audiobooks. And I usually throw in a few extras with the paperbacks. So, you know, I'll be sending out like bookmarks and little postcards maybe, or little kind of jewelry and bits, something, again, choose something that's going to suit your brand. I'm looking at merchandise. I'm setting up my Shopify store at the moment. I've got a PayHip one, but I really want to expand it and do drop shipping, and I can only really do that through Shopify. So we've got merchandise that I'm working on. I've got a tote bag, and mugs and stuff. So I'll be popping that on there. So, you know, when I get my bookmarks sorted, I'll be sending that personal stuff out too. And again, that's something you can offer in your subscription tiers. I name my readers in the acknowledgements of my books. So when I run polls, you know, on my Facebook page saying, oh, I need names for this or names for that, or can you suggest this? And then those who kind of get picked go in the acknowledgements. I share covers and first chapters with them first. When I set my subscription up, I'll be sharing work in progress chapters too. You could design a tattoo. I did and have one. One of my readers got it too. And that's the kind of stuff that's the image actually we're going to be using on some of the merch as well. And the other thing that we chat about is, you know, the type of stuff they're reading, because they love to talk about reading. They're big readers. So it's also interesting, what are they reading, the kind of books they like. It's also great for ad targeting, and it promotes great discussion in your group. So yeah, you just want to remain active. Once you've set up a group, wherever it may be, you need to be hanging out in it a lot as well. You can't just set it up and then abandon it, you know what I mean? Oh, I've shot forward a bit. Where am I going? Right. Don't make it all about the books then. So yes, few images again that I've shared. So that's me with my tattoo. My cats, where I live. So mix it up a bit. People love to see what you've been doing. If you're out and about on a weekend, you know, I do a little Friday post. I post all week, but I always do a little Friday post, what I'm up to and that kind of thing. So this is a sample of some of the merchandising that we're hoping to be using, some of the logos. So all my characters in my Whitehaven Witches series have got their own businesses. So we thought maybe we should do the logos for their businesses, and we could pop those on mugs and stuff as well. So I love to create more work for myself. It's great, but I think it would be quite cool to do. You know, I could put sayings on there. There's a couple of sayings that my characters use that my readers love. Quotes, obviously, you can put on stuff. So yeah, that's the type of stuff I'm going to be sharing. So I'm working on my Shopify store at the moment. It is way more work than I was expecting. I'm kind of tearing my hair out, but we will get there, and it will be done in the next couple of weeks, I hope. Okay, so right, another way to keep your fans engaged, and this is a really, really important one. So you've been out there, you've got your book started, your fans are rolling in, they're loving your work. The last thing you want to do is then put them off by either changing genre or writing a book that they are just not interested in. So one of the things I do with my group and my newsletter is to kind of say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this with this group of characters. Would you be interested in that? What would you like? So series spin-offs are a great way to keep your fans engaged. So as I say, by book 3 of my Whitehaven Witches, I could already see that it was proven to be a successful series. And I thought, well, I like to keep my worlds open. I like to make life interesting for me. And I like writing long series. I can't think short term, because I like to grow my characters and I like them to expand. And I like to make my world, like my universe, as a lot of writers do. You know, you want it big. So I'd already introduced a few characters in that early series who I thought I could do things with, and I continued to grow those. So then I basically had a spin-off series called the Whitehaven Hunters, which started after book 6 in my Witches series. And then last year I thought, well, I've got this great set of characters I wrote in one of the Whitehaven Hunters series, and I thought, well, I want to do a spin-off with those. So that was my Shifters series. So book 1's gone down very well. I'm going to be doing book 2 later this year. And then I've also introduced some characters into the Hunter series and the Shifter series, actually. They started in the Shifter series, called the Moonfell Witches, because I can't keep witches out of my books. And I love these witches. So I'm like, I really want to do another Witches series. And fortunately, my readers have been coming back to me going, oh my God, I love these witches. You need to do another witches series. And I'm like, yes, great. So again, I polled my readers. Would you be interested in me doing this Moonfell Witches? Some people are saying yes. And the questions were, do you want it set in the past? Do you want it set in the present? Do you want a mixture of both? And basically it came back, I want a mixture of both. So it was like, great, okay. And also bring other familiar characters in. So my characters pop up all through the series. So again, if you're starting a new series, you kind of want to take your readers with you, and it's comforting to pop in old characters that they already like really well, and then you mix those with the new. So if your super fans will read whatever you write regardless, because they love your writing, so they will follow you. But as a consequence, you can't slack off. Your quality needs to be as good. Do not disappoint them. Okay, so I think almost done. So summary, it is achievable for everyone. So I don't know where you guys are in your writing career, whether you're far along or just starting, but it's always very daunting when you don't have much of an audience at all. But we all start from nowhere, and you can grow them. But I say, write great books, engage your audience, join author forums. There's huge amounts out there. Self-publishing formula I found really good. The 20 books to 50k. I also signed up for Nick Stevenson's Your First 10,000 Readers course way back when I first started, and he really helped me define what I should keep doing and what I shouldn't, because I was floundering initially, thinking, oh my God, what's happening? Know your brand, be consistent, share relevant content. Other authors are your friends, so cross promote. They're not competition. You want to cross promote. And in fact, a lot of my readers have commented on that again on my page when I share other urban fantasy writer stuff. They're like, oh, this is so great that you share this. So this is a positive thing to do. Do not forget your newsletter. And also remember that for your readers, your books are an escape. So you just kind of want to build on that and keep it fun, for God's sake, because this is going to be your life. So you have to enjoy it. Hopefully it'll be your life. Good luck with your writing. And that's me.
Well, I'm sure everyone will agree that that was absolutely awesome. We have a few questions in the chat, so I will go through those. Whitney asked, when you say professional editor, what type of editing work is that person doing for you? So what kind of editing would you have?
Oh, okay, so I basically went for the full on line by line editing. I do not have the big overview content edit. I generally felt quite happy with my storyline and my plot, so I went straight for that very thorough line by line copy edit.
Yeah, and again, like that will depend on your comfort level and what type of editing you need. Jessica asked, where do you share? I'm a bit allergic to social media, so I'm not sure where to maximize my posting impact.
I presume she's on some social media of some sort.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think you can get away with not being on social media, unfortunately, now. Do you know, I used to hate it. I'll be quite honest. I was never on Facebook when it first came out, and I thought, oh, what is this? But then when I started publishing, I realized you cannot avoid it, because, you have to get your name out. In fact, if you're happy to indie publish, then that's great. But if you're trying to get a trad publishing deal, they will look to see who knows you. Have you got a social media presence? Have you got followers? So you do have to be on social media. But as I say, don't be everywhere. So just pick one you like. You don't have to put your face out there, actually. I do post images of my face, but only later on. When I was first on quite early, I never used to, but actually, again, I think it's good. So just got to go over it. You've got to do it.
Yeah, and that was a really tough thing for me to kind of get on board with when I first.
Yeah, because you feel like, well, you feel awkward, don't you? Like you're putting yourself out there, and when you first ask questions as well, it's like nobody gets back to you, and you're like, oh. But so then I never ask questions at all because that nobody will answer me, so I never ask questions. But it will happen.
Yeah,
You've got to do it.
definitely. And you mentioned kind of the slow growth principle there. It will take a while to build up. It doesn't happen overnight, unfortunately, as great as that.
It doesn't. And do you know what? I've got a lot of followers on Facebook, but it does not translate even to Instagram, and that's all part of Meta. You know what I mean? So, you know, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
So you just focus on what's working.
Yeah, and like you said, pick one you like, or at least that you like the most. You might not like any of them, but the one you like the most.
Yeah, avoid. Yeah. And where your age group is, I think you have to look at that. I mean, if you it depends what you like. I think TikTok has all sorts of ages on there, but I think it's more known for having more kind of a youthful market. Whereas my readers actually all hang out on Facebook. You know, I am of that demographic that we are on Facebook rather than everywhere else. We're scared of other stuff.
Yeah, brilliant point. Okay, so Elaine asked, do you find Book Funnel, Story Origin, and My Book Cave promos by searching those websites, or do you have another place where you find promos to join?
No, I do tend to go straight to the sites to look, actually. I've lost track, actually. I'm in a lot of Facebook groups for that kind of thing, and they do tend to pop up on there. But actually, I find it really hard to keep track of. So I find it much easier to go straight into Book Funnel and Story Origin, look at the group promos coming up and join directly there.
Yeah.
And I think Story Origin's great because it has that campaign planner. So, you know, I've got them all listed there and I've got stuff. So it just makes it easy for me to keep track of. I don't have spreadsheets. It's all in my campaign planner. And I know when I'm sending my email out just to check on there what's going in it. Yeah. So that's what I find easier.
Nobody needs another spreadsheet, right?
God, no. I hate spreadsheets.
Some of you out there might love them.
Some people do. Strange people.
You did mention a couple, but Joe asked, what author forums would you recommend?
So definitely the self-publishing formula. Obviously, they do the self-publishing show. So anybody who's out there, you must have heard of that. And obviously, I saw Shane there. 20 books, 50K is invaluable. It's quite a scary place. I actually think their Facebook group. So don't ever use self-promo because they'll boot you out. But it is an absolute wealth of knowledge. I think those are the two. I'm trying to think what else I use. I'm on so many, I kind of lose track. Urban fantasy groups like fans of urban fantasy and urban fantasy readers, they're kind of good to go on there for readers and writers. But I honestly think 20 books, 50K and self-publishing ones are the best. I don't know if you can think of any others, Shane, I haven't mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, Fictionary obviously joined.
Fictionary, obviously.
In our community, so I don't need to preach the benefits of that. But there was a good point there. You said about like genre-specific Facebook groups. They can be really great for you don't want to self-promote in reader groups, but it can be useful to find out what kind of things readers are reading at the time and what they're looking for, and it can give you ideas for your next books, right? Yeah.
And it's quite good if you're on there. And again, I don't tend to post them a lot, but again, I'm getting better at it lately. I just tend to react or respond, but actually it's good to kind of just drop silly posts in there, just makes people laugh. And then people get familiar with your name. And as you say, it's another way of getting to know people. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Got time for another question. So right after your book launch, what aspect would you focus on first? How do you approach like book club fans. I'm not sure what you mean by book club fans, but what would you do right after a book launch? Like, what's your process for that?
I could probably be better at it, I think, than I probably am, because some people, you know, I know are really good at using influencers, you know, to spread word and that kind of thing. I don't. So I basically promote it a lot, obviously on my page and my newsletter. I might run a few ads for a new book, but actually I'm always pushing my first in series more than anything. So I don't actually do anything else for a launch. And maybe I should. Maybe that's something I should look at. But to be quite honest, by the time you've done this, that, and the other, I find it kind of quite exhausting. But I think if you really apply yourself, I know people who have kind of really pushed themselves into groups and used influencers, it can make you fly. But it's also huge amount of work, isn't it, to do that?
Yeah, it's a lot. And I mean, I could be better at launching. I think most of us, to be fair, could probably be better. But it's a lot. Like, the launch is actually, for me, I don't know about you, but for me, the launch is more exhausting than actually writing the book.
Yeah.
In the first place.
Yeah, it is actually. So, you know, you have that day of frenzied kind of it's out, and then you send your newsletter, and then you remind your art team, oh, can I have my reviews, please? And they start coming in, but after that, I just kind of let it just roll. You know, if I was, I guess, far more ambitious and I wanted to hit the top 100 in Amazon, then I would be frantic trying to do it. But I just think, you know, there's only so many hours in the day.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Which goes back to your point about picking like one social media platform and doing it really well, as opposed to spreading yourself too thin.
And as long as I'm having consistent sales, and as long as, you know, my early reviews are coming in that are good, then, you know, then that's okay with me.
Yeah, definitely. And we're hearing the phrase more and more, bank over rank.
Yes.
Like, it's more important to sell books than it is to be in the top 100 on Amazon.
Yeah. And you know what? And because I'm not in KU and I haven't got the benefit of those page reads, I haven't got that shooting me up the charts anyway, you know?
Yeah.
And I am going to be pushing more sales direct, buy from me, get the book earlier before retails. That's definitely what I'm going to be doing with my next kind of shifters book. I'll be interested to see how that goes. So, yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so Anna asks, you mentioned art team, so we know you do, but do you try to get reviews before you launch your books?
Well, you can't really get them before unless your paperback's gone out a few days early, because of course no retailer will allow you to have a review up before. You can do on Goodreads, obviously. Goodreads and BookBub will allow you to review. So yes, I do say to my art team, actually, hey, you can at least do some reviews now on Goodreads and BookBub, and they are really good, and I will generally get a little flurry of those before it actually goes live on retailers. And my paperbacks generally tend to go live about 24, 48 hours before the ebook. So some of them will drop on and I'll do a few early reviews then. But yeah, it's very hard to get early reviews otherwise. You just can't.
Yeah, exactly. But what you would do, obviously, is reach out to your art team in enough time to let them read the book so that they can review on launch day.
Yes, see what you mean. Yes. So as far as that goes, they get my book about 3 weeks before launch. 2-3 weeks before it's actually, you know, release date. So they know it's coming. I give them fair warning, hey, it's coming. And then they get it. And I also warn them there might be a few, you know, it's been fully edited, but I'm like, hey, if you spot any typos, let me know about that too. I have those fantastic proofers in my art team. And I say, this is not your job. Don't feel you have to, but if you want to, they love it. So that's also something they just want to help, you know. So I have this little list of little typos come in too. So yeah, so they get sent the book 3 weeks beforehand. So they are prepped and ready, obviously, to go on release day. Sorry, so if I misunderstood that, yeah, they are prepped and ready for release day.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to clarify the distinction. But you're right about ARC readers wanting to help. I have this one ARC reader, they always catch everything, and they'll send me screenshots of their iPad with like these big red.
Yeah.
this is wrong. But I actually enjoy that. Like, that's good,
It's
because
great.
it means that readers, like other readers, post-launch won't have to email me and be like, I spotted this typo.
Yes. Yeah, because you do want it to be as perfect as it can when it goes out, don't you? And they always creep in. So it's fab that they take the time to do it. It's lovely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, any more questions, folks? Oh, I missed one from Joe. Sorry, Joe. Last week, an editor from S&S, I assume you mean the Simon and Schuster agent that came in, said never write to market. How would you respond to that?
I think it's pointless writing a book with that there is no audience. I mean, sure, you can do it, but if you want to earn money, then you do want to make sure there is an audience out there. So I've got to be honest, when I wrote my witches books, I knew there was, obviously, urban fantasy was big. I love paranormal books myself. I love writing about witchcraft. I didn't specifically write to absolutely nail that genre. A lot of that is written in the first person. Drives me insane. I like writing in third person, and I like writing with a big cast that I can zoot about in. My first Whitehaven Witches were third person. They followed one character, and then I just kind of diversified, because all my readers were like, oh, I want to hear about that witch, and I want to hear about that witch. And I was like, well, you sure you want me to switch POV at this stage? And we're like, well, yeah, it's fine. So in that sense, I did not absolutely follow genre conventions, but I followed them, enough of them. So, you know, so you don't have to write to market, but I think you need to write to at least a market that is big enough for you to sell books in, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree. And I think you said in Seville something like it's about finding the intersection between the market, but also what you love to write as well. So you're not, you're doing both. You're writing what you love, but you're also finding a market for.
Yeah. You're finding your way of telling it.
Yeah.
Without being a slave to it. Because I say, if it does well and you've tied yourself into something you hate, you will drive yourself insane.
Yeah, definitely. Completely.
Yeah.